Part 103. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1021. Chapter 1021, Mysterious Pattern Explanation. Baitangyunyu reached the cultivation level to leave before Jinxinrong, but he did not come first. Instead, he waited for Jinxinrong to reach the level and the couple broke through together and came here. From this point, we can see that the relationship between the young couple is very good. Originally, Jinxinrong thought that she would finally see Yanxiangluo after arriving at the higher continent. Unexpectedly, just a month before they arrived, Yanxiangluo and Jizhong had already gone to other higher continents, and from other continents to Zhekongtian continent. The difference in strength is too far. When the couple heard about the legendary story of Yanxiangluo and Jizhong in Zhuoyuan continent, Jinxinrong was extremely proud. Hong Kong was not affected by their strength at all, but became even more energetic. Her best friend is so good, she can't be too bad, she has to work hard to practice. However, knowing that Yanxiangluo's parents and younger brother were here, she and Baitangyunyu went to Zhuoyuan city first, and after meeting with Yanxiangluo's parents, they began to practice and improve their cultivation. However, she always returns to Zhuoyuan city after every experience. After all, the spiritual energy in Zhuoyuan city is the richest in the entire Zhuoyuan continent. There is also the experience tower, which is what Xianxia left behind. How high can the 9th level of cultivation reach? They were already a continent away from Yanxiangluo and Jizhong in terms of cultivation strength. In order not to embarrass her best friend, she did not hesitate to improve her cultivation level. I know that they should have gone into a secret realm to practice before they came out, and only in this way will the sound transmission stone be isolated. Many people have the mentality of wanting to go to Zhekongtian as soon as possible to see what miracles Yanxiangluo and Jizhong have created, which motivates them to practice hard. The passages have been opened, and they can just practice by themselves. This way they still cannot go to the 9th heaven, which is too embarrassing for the emperor and his wife. When the passage between Zhuoyuan continent and Zhezongtian was opened, more monks from Zhuoyuan continent were inspired to practice hard. This is the path they must take. Eliminating demons is the first priority. If they want their relatives, friends, and even mainlanders to live a peaceful life, they must first ensure the stability and existence of the mainland. Once you step into this place, there is no turning back. Yanxiangluo and Jizhong didn't know this, but the power of faith in them suddenly increased, making them understand that this was the effect of the people in Zhuoyuan continent knowing that the passage was open. But he couldn't wait for them to come out, so he left a message for them to save them from worrying about not being able to contact them when they came out. After that, the two of them walked into the Black Spring without hesitation. Now there is no longer any hope of going to the 9 heavens, but as long as your cultivation strength reaches the highest level in the high continent, you can go to the 9 heavens. This is very helpful for Yanxiangluo to suppress the demon lord. Previously, due to the reduction in the power of faith, the time to suppress the demon lord was shortened. For a time, people from the 9 UN continent were the most diligent in cultivating among all the higher continents. So in a short period of time, the monks in Zhuoyuan continent have improved their cultivation level one after another, and at the same time, the overall strength of Zhuoyuan continent has also been improved. The monks in Zhuoyuan continent have consciously respected Jizhong as the human emperor. The two looked at each other and smiled, knowing what the other meant, and they were both very happy. The two of them glanced at the black spring stone tablet with inscriptions on it, and contacted Jizimo and Mu Changling, but they couldn't get in touch. But before going in, Jizhong left a mysterious pattern on the stone tablet to explain. Inform everyone in Zhezongtian continent that when they go to the Black Spring to improve their cultivation, they are also looking for spiritual objects that can suppress the demon lord. They also truthfully told the people of Zhekongtian continent that the demon lord would break through the seal within 3 years. This time they could only completely eliminate the demon. It was impossible to seal the demon lord again. Don't say much else. If you say too much, they won't see it and will take it to heart. If you don't say it, let them think about it on their own, which will motivate them more. It also lets them know that eliminating demons is not a matter for the two of them, but a matter for the monks on the entire continent. In the face of the matter of exterminating demons, which is related to the life and death of the entire continent, other personal interests plotted by you and me are trivial matters. The two people felt something different as soon as they walked past the stone monument. They did not look back. They had been there once and knew that they would not see anything if they turned back. A feeling of searching for souls appears, which is also the biggest threat to entering here. Xuanhuan held Yan Xiangluo's hand and said, "Do it little by little, don't be in a hurry." Yan Xiangluo nodded. Black Spring is not full of dangers as soon as you enter. The danger increases as you go deeper. Their purpose is not to die, but to experience and improve their cultivation. Therefore, they must slow down. If their cultivation strength has not been raised to the highest level, definitely not going to the central place. That's where they originally got the sacred object. The last life came in too hastily, and the two of them went straight to the center. Not only were they seriously injured, they almost couldn't get out. Missed the opportunity to experience this journey, now they have time to walk slowly over it. The strength along the way is enough for them to raise their cultivation level to the highest level before the demon lord comes out. Half a month after they entered, someone finally discovered the mysterious pattern outside the Black Spring. After all, no one usually comes here. This is because some people were curious about how Black Spring came to see it, and saw such news that shocked the entire continent. This news immediately swept the entire Zhejiang continent. Even Gizmo and Mu Changling, who had just come out of the secret realm, were stunned. They already knew the Nine Heavens continent and what kind of existence the Black Spring was. What kind of cultivation are these two children now, and why did they get in? Didn't they die there in their previous life? After worrying about it, I thought that my two children would not make meaningless sacrifices, so I settled down and started to improve my cultivation. At the same time, he also secretly publicized what he knew about demons, and little by little it penetrated into the hearts of the people in Zhejiang mainland. This is more stressful than the two children saying it directly. And what they did caused panic in the entire Zhejiang continent. The strong men on the mainland felt very ashamed. They chased the two people for the divine beads, but the two people had such great righteousness in their hearts that they entered there again in order to save the mainland. They knew very well that Yan Xiangluo and Zhejiang died in their previous lives just because they went there to retrieve the holy objects. It can be said that the reason why more than 300 great saint-level experts were able to seal the demons in the first place of training 10,000 years ago, these two were the greatest contributors. Without the two of them risking their lives to get the holy object, no matter how many strong men sacrificed, they would not be able to seal the demon lord. I'm afraid that this world has turned into a world of demons thousands of years ago. Especially those powerful men with high level of cultivation of the great sage. In an instant, they finally understood what was the obstacle to breaking through the cultivation level. It was the state of mind. They considered themselves cold-hearted and did not care about worldly matters, but they lacked the most important thing. The most important thing is the state of mind, which is righteousness. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1022. Chapter 1022, Pregnant. After the news of the demon broke out, the Zhejiang continent has truly changed. Those who have been coveting the divine beads and soul stones before have given up as long as the good intentions in their hearts have not been completely wiped out. Because they knew very well that these two things would play the greatest role in the hands of Yan Xiangluo and Zhejiang when they wanted to eliminate demons in the future. But some selfish people who have lost their humanity are planning how to use the appearance of the devil to get this divine bead. They think that as long as they get the divine beads, they are not afraid of demons, and the life and death of other people has nothing to do with them. Changkun and Meng Hejing are one of such people. The most important thing is that they feel that they are already on the opposite side of Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhizhong. Coupled with what they did to her in the previous life, even if they want to reconcile with her, they will not be able to make peace with her. Impossible. At this time, Yan Xiangluo didn't know that there was a truly cruel person hidden behind all this. This man is Zhang Qinjian, the friend that Yan Xiangluo believed to depend on for life and death in her previous life. He was also the person who tricked her the most. The holy object was almost defrauded by him at first. At this time, he was standing outside the main hall, looking at the mist-shrouded distance. Standing next to him was a woman wearing a purple dress with a fairy spirit. If Yan Xiangluo definitely knows him, this person is Xiun Saint, the one from Xiun Palace. Sage Xiun paused when she heard this, and reached out to touch the bracelet she had worn for more than 10,000 years. Does it have to be like this? Cherry, what should we do now? Asked Sage Xiun. Hasn't she done enough for him? No woman would be as stupid as her, right? Zhang Qinjian's eyes changed instantly. Don't ask if you shouldn't ask. Looking back at Qinjian, he glanced at the lavender bracelet on the wrist of Saint Xiun. It seems that I can only use it. Sage Xiun's expression changed. He had never spoken to her in such a tone. Today was the first time. Did he poke his heart? After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left. He didn't expect that Yan Xiangluo would be so determined to go directly to the Black Spring after she came back. After entering there, even if he had the means, he would have no choice but to wait for her to come out. But what to do? After all, in the previous life, the divine pearl was not in Yan Xiangluo's hands. He also plotted against her, but he failed to achieve his goal in the end. She still remembers his angry look very clearly now. If she can come out, her cultivation will definitely be beyond a level that anyone can easily reach. If she wants to achieve her goal, she can only use this bracelet. Sage Xiun fumbled with the lavender bracelet on his wrist, which he had given to her. He had said at that time that as long as the bracelet was not used, it would always be hers. Who allowed his heart to be lost on him? She was a little confused. Did he really care about herself? If the answer is no, then what does it mean to wait for more than 10,000 years? Is it really not the divine pearl that he wants? Sage Xiun's eyes narrowed. Why do I think you don't want the divine beads? After all, that was the first time she saw him losing his mind. Zhang Qinjian glanced at her. The thing happened unexpectedly. Is there any other way to go? More than 10,000 years have passed. In her heart, this bracelet already belongs to her. She never thought that one day this bracelet would be used by him. She has always regarded this bracelet as a token of their love, but now, it seems that she is wishful thinking. With his clothes fluttering, Saint Xiun stood alone for a while before turning around and leaving. She always knew that he had an obsession in his heart. Now that he was in this situation, she would help him again. This time is also the last time. After you have solved the obsession in his heart, you will know where you are in his heart. You can either get what you want happily or give up. Thinking of the man who loved him and was willing to sacrifice his life, Saint Xiun felt extremely complicated. As the news of the demon spread throughout the Zhongtian continent, the direction of the continent's winds changed unpredictably. But on the surface it looks a lot quieter. Just some ordinary people who cannot cultivate and monks with relatively low cultivation level are a little panicked. They are worried that when the devil appears, they will be the first to die. Therefore, people from all walks of life in the mainland are paying attention to Haiquan, mainly concerned about whether Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhikong will come out. However, there has been no news about Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhizhong who entered the Black Spring. Time passed little by little, and half a year passed in the blink of an eye. The hearts of the mainlanders are getting heavier and heavier. Half a year has passed and there is no news about the two of them. If there is no news, it is the best news, but they don't think so in Haiquan. Many people think that they may have fallen. Although they didn't say it out loud, they complained in their hearts that the two of them were ignorant of the world. They went into the Black Spring just after they were reborn. Wouldn't they be destined to die? Not everyone thinks what they think. There are always people who trust them, such as their own people. Xian, Changfeng, Jin Yutang, and the hidden guards came to Zhekongtian continent one after another within half a year. When they knew that Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhozhong had gone into the Black Spring, they did not panic or worry, but began to practice in an orderly manner as before. They are not worried that they will not be able to get out, but that their own cultivation is not improving fast enough. Because they knew very well that they had to improve their cultivation as much as possible before the master and his wife came out, because when they came out, the demon elimination would begin, and there would be no time for them. At this time, Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhozhong had walked less than a third of the way in the Black Spring. It only took less than half an hour to cross the road in the previous life. Now we have walked for half a year, and we have only walked a third of it. This shows how dangerous it is. Although they have walked less than a third of the way, their cultivation level has reached from the first level of the Great Sage to the fifth level of the Great Sage. To advance to the fifth level in half a year, this was already extremely slow for them in the past. However, if you know how difficult it is to achieve the level of a Great Sage, you will know how scary the speed of advancement is. Otherwise, it would not be possible. People who have cultivated above the fifth level of the Great Sage are not young, and most of them are older than 10 years old or even 10,000 years old. What's more, Yan Xiangluo was still a pregnant woman at this time. That's right, soon after entering Haiquan, Yan Xiangluo found out that she was pregnant, and it was already more than 2 months old. Ji Zhozhong was very upset. He had never thought about Luoluo being pregnant. After all, the higher the cultivation level of a monk, the harder it is for him to have heirs. This is an eternal fact that everyone knows in any continent. Why does it not work when we get to them? After all, they were so cultivated when they got married that it was almost impossible to have children of their own. Neither of them thought they would have a child. This is also the reason why Yan Xiangluo didn't notice it even though he was a miracle doctor himself. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1023. Chapter 1023 Not 1. And after they left Zhuyuan continent, they had been very busy, and Yan Xiangluo didn't notice that her menstrual period had not come. With her level of cultivation, it is normal for her not to have menstrual periods. When she first learned that Luoluo was pregnant, Ji Zhozhong was confused. When she came to her senses, she wanted her to go into the Pangu space to practice and raise the fetus. It would be safe. After all, they were in the Black Spring, the most dangerous place on the mainland, and could be there at any time. Danger to life. But he was rejected by Yan Xiangluo. The reason is simple, they have no time to delay. If you go into the Pangu space to raise a baby, you will have to give birth to the baby 8 months later at the earliest before you can continue to experience it. But it has been less than 3 years since the Demon Lord broke through the seal, so they had no time to delay. The final reason to persuade Ji Zhozhong was that if she was not strong enough as a mother, even if she gave birth to her children safely, how could she protect them from growing up? How can their children live happily without a peaceful living space? In addition, Yan Xiangluo did not have any symptoms during pregnancy. If it were not for the fact that she sensed the breath of life, she would not have discovered that she was pregnant. At this time, Yan Xiangluo deeply realized the benefits of having the legendary divine pearl to increase his cultivation speed. Indeed, the speed and ease of cultivation are many times faster than others. Therefore, Xuanhuan's experience has added another test, which is to always pay attention to Luoluo's safety. Not only were they worried about her safety, but the most important issue was that this was the Black Spring and there was no one else except them. Where could they go to find the midwife who would deliver the baby? What would Luoluo do if there was no midwife? He has never experienced anything like this, and no matter how smart he is, he will never deliver a baby. Therefore, as her belly grew bigger and bigger, he became more and more worried, and recently he could no longer hide his emotions. Although the child came suddenly, although there were surprises and more shocks, Xuanhuan was looking forward to the arrival of the child. This was his and Luoluo's child, something he had never dared to think about. He was looking forward to having a child like Luoluo. My daughter, how happy it would be to hold a soft and waxy daughter in my arms. Just like this, Luoluo practices during the day, and takes time to rest in the pangu space at night and absorb the pangu breath in the space. This is good for the development of the fetus. Xuanhuan, have you encountered any problems in your practice recently? Luoluo looked at him doubtfully. Although he has encountered many dangers since he came in, and has been on the verge of life and death every time, he has never been so worried. Why is he often frowning recently? Could it be that you have encountered some bottleneck in your cultivation state of mind? Even so, as her belly grew bigger day by day, Xuanhuan became more and more worried. Although her training time was not as long as Xuanhuan's, nor was it as intense as his training, she was not left behind by Xuanhuan's advancement in cultivation. He has never expressed this worry, but Luoluo noticed that he had been frowning involuntarily recently, as if he was worried about something, so she couldn't help but ask. You must know that Xuanhuan's cultivation talent and speed are already monster-like. However, her training time is 1/3 less than Xuanhuan's and the intensity is half less, but she can maintain the same level as him and break through and advance. It can be seen how amazing the speed of cultivation is after possessing the divine beads. Xuanhuan could only compromise and agreed to her continued training, but he also said that if she felt any discomfort or her life was in danger, she would immediately go to pangu space to rest. Xuanhuan helped her sit down on a stone, took out the washed spiritual fruit and handed it to her. Luoluo took it and ate it. Although her cultivation level is enough to enable her to raise her children well without eating human grains. However, Luoluo insists on supplementing enough nutrients every day, which are foods rich in spiritual energy. She said that they should let their children experience the joy of tasting delicious food. Xuanhuan did not refute her, but he felt in his heart that it was not the child who could eat it by himself, so there was no joy in tasting delicious food. But he didn't dare to say this. Whether the pregnant woman had a reaction or not, but she still had the mood that often changes suddenly. In this case, Xuanhuan felt guilty for letting her get pregnant, so he did his best to take care of Luoluo's safety and emotions. Now that his worries were seen by Luoluo, he didn't hide it from her. Luoluo will give birth in less than 2 months, but there is no Wenpo here, what will we do then? Xuanhuan expressed his worries in the past few months. The reason why he said it was because he really couldn't think of a way. Luoluo was an alchemist and had strong medical skills, so maybe there was a way. Luoluo was stunned, then smiled, took a bite of the spirit fruit and said, "Is this what you are worried about?" Xuanhuan looked at the heartless smiling man and said helplessly, "This is the most difficult thing I have ever encountered in my previous life." Luoluo's smile became even brighter when she heard this. This was the first time in her life that she saw Xuanhuan's helpless look. Xuanhuan hugged the person lovingly. "Why are you laughing? You have forgotten what I do, does the miracle doctor know?" Luoluo held back her smile and said to him. Xuanhuan touched her swollen belly and said, "Doctors don't heal themselves, don't you know?" Luoluo put her hand on his slender hand and felt the little life in her belly together. "I am a great sage." Things that ordinary women encounter during childbirth will not happen here. As long as the time is up, the child will. Don't worry if the birth goes smoothly, nothing will happen to you, the baby and I will be safe and healthy. Xuanhuan was still unsure after hearing this. He was worried that Luo had no solution to the matter, so he deliberately said this to comfort him. But he didn't say anything more. We will give birth in less than 2 months. Let's not practice for now. We will go to Pangu space to rest and recuperate. Luo can also have more time and prepare more. When Luo gives birth safely and recovers, we will continue to practice. Xuanhuan changed topic. He wanted Luo to refine some elixirs to deal with situations that occurred during production. She is a miracle doctor after all, and the god-level elixir she refines can bring people back to life. It should be able to cope with emergencies. He can bear any outcome, but he cannot accept losing her. Luo originally planned to do this. After all, the belly was scary. Although the child was very well behaved, she could no longer take risks. Looking at Xuanhuan's nervous and worried look, he was secretly glad that he knew he was pregnant at that time and did not truthfully tell him that he was not pregnant with a baby. But who has the most trump cards? She is not afraid of having more babies. It has been more than 8 months, and she has taken good care of them. Not only that, he also didn't fall behind in his cultivation advancement. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1024. Chapter 1024, I have an intuition. People sometimes describe geniuses as saying that they started practicing in their mother's womb. This is really the case with her baby, who was able to absorb spiritual energy on his own when he was still a little bean sprout. So much so that she was absorbing spiritual energy all the time. By the time things came to fruition, she was already looking forward to how powerful her baby would be. But since their father is so worried, she won't tell him yet and will give him a surprise when the time comes. Fortunately, she didn't tell Xuanhuan that what he was carrying was not a baby. Otherwise, no matter how many reasons he had, he wouldn't have been able to practice this for half a year. And Xuanhuan really didn't know anything about this matter. Therefore, although he could sense the breath of life in her belly, he didn't know that it was not a breath of life at all. He thought it was because Luo absorbed the breath of Pangu in the Pangu space. Children were better than others. The fetus needs to be strong. Well, it's time to take a good rest and prepare for the arrival of the child. Luo finished eating the spirit fruit and didn't waste the core. She threw it directly into the portable space of her previous life and planted it. In the past few months, she has developed a habit and started to take good care of her original portable space. After a few months, the space has changed a lot from before. Luo stood up and pulled Xuanhuan into Pangu space. Today they are still living in the converted bedroom from the practice room prepared by their master Deng Chang's, but it was just rearranged by Xuanhuan. However, since they knew that there was going to be a little master, they were planning to wait until the little master was born to transform into a human form and take care of the little masters on his behalf. It doesn't take much time for him to refine the cradle anyway. Let's refine it when the time comes. Now in the Pangu space, except for the bedroom and kitchen where she lives, all her other belongings have been taken to the portable space of her previous life. Xuanhuan also made a cradle, which is a magical tool that can care for the baby independently. She plans to give birth to her child here, and as long as Pangu space still exists, the child will be raised here. As soon as the two of them came in, the mythical beasts were the first to gather around. They all looked at Luo's belly curiously, feeling the breath of the little masters in her belly. Since she knew she was pregnant, Luo started to prepare the clothes, mats, quilts and other things the child would need when she came in to rest as long as she had energy. Luo was hesitant to speak at that time. She wanted to tell him that it was not enough, but she was worried that if she told him, he would be more worried about her own health, so she endured it and did not say anything. This is an instinct. She feels that it is not long before she says goodbye to Pangu space. In fact, all 5 of them could sense that it was not a baby inside, but they thought Jizhong knew about it, so they never said that. This was how the misunderstanding arose. Yan Xiangluo envied the little ones in her belly. This cultivation environment started when they were reincarnated. The reason why they still live here is because the Pangu atmosphere here is not only good for their cultivation, but also good for their children. Those like them who spend all day cultivating in Pangu's breath don't even have to think about it. The 5 beasts have now regained their strongest strength, and they can all transform. However, they have a tacit understanding that they have not transformed, and they still maintain the form of spiritual beasts. Let alone the fetus now, even those aristocratic families do not have the strength to find the spiritual energy with Pangu's aura to practice. After eating so many abyss-wandering insects, the black dumplings took 3 months to digest and absorb, and now they have returned to small black dumplings. Quietly nestled on the space stone milk, motionless. Yan Xiangluo still doesn't know what it is. As soon as Yan Xiangluo comes in, Jishan will come to her side, release the power of life, and help her raise the child in her belly. Xuanhuan asked Yan Xiangluo to prepare a box for it that would not reveal its aura, and put all its yuanzu into it, saying it was a meeting gift for its little masters. Even Wuji likes to hang around her now. Jizhong ignored the spiritual pets surrounding her and went directly to the kitchen to prepare spiritual energy ingredients. Although he really wanted to cook for Luoluo, he didn't have the ability. Any food Luoluo eats must be spiritual food without any impurities, so as not to leave any bad influence on the child. Yan Xiangluo was lying on the rocking chair outside the door, rocking gently, feeling the meticulous care of her spiritual pets. This was refined by Zhekong for her. She didn't need to use any force, just her thoughts, and the rocking chair would rock according to her wishes. The fragrance falling into Danshan independently absorbs the Pangu breath in the Pangu space, nourishing the children. She placed her hands gently on her belly, feeling the vigorous and powerful breath of the children, and a loving light appeared on her face that she was not even aware of. Jizhong made all preparations and saw a scene like this when he came out. This is what he sees every day recently, and it is also the happiness he longs for in his heart. It's just that this happiness would be better if it were placed in ordinary times. Luoluo, everything is ready. Yan Xiangluo raised her eyes to look at him, her almond-shaped eyes curved into a pair of crescent moons. Wait a moment and then do it again. The brilliant man in front of her had taught her things that she had never done in her previous life, and that she had never even bothered to spend time doing. Yan Xiangluo felt warm in her heart and became more determined to protect this happiness. Jizhong sat down on the chair next to her. There were teacups, spiritual fruits, and some food on the table next to her. He poured 2 cups of spiritual tea, 1 for each of them. After taking a sip of tea, he said, Luoluo, is there anything wrong with Pangu space? He found that all the things belonging to Luoluo in Pangu space were sent bit by her to the space she carried with her in her previous life. Even part of the large medicinal field where she planted it was removed by her. When he came in every day recently, he also discovered that the power of Luoluo's spiritual consciousness was acting on the mountains in the distance, where there were various spiritual stone veins. He was certain that some of these spirit stone veins had been removed by Luoluo. Although not much, he felt that Luoluo was making preparations. Such obvious actions and behaviors would make it impossible for Jizhong to avoid them. Yan Xiangluo looked into the distance and did not hide anything from him. I have an intuition that Pangu space will not belong to me forever, and this feeling is getting clearer and clearer. With just 1 sentence, Yan Xiangluo let Jizhong understand that she was preparing to leave Pangu space. Jizhong didn't ask any more questions. He believed in Luoluo's intuition. What's more, Luoluo also had the aura of the strongest heavenly master in the mainland. Her feeling was definitely not wrong. Fenyan narrowed her eyes. If Pangu space will not belong to Luoluo forever and will definitely leave, then in what way will the space leave? Will it hurt Luoluo? The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1025. Chapter 1025. Xianxia gives birth to a son. Yan Xianxia knew what he was thinking by looking at his expression. Don't think too much. When Pangu space appeared, nothing unexpected happened to me, and it wouldn't hurt me when it left. The appearance and departure of such a being must be inevitable. There is a reason and we just let it take its course. There are many things that they cannot control, such as their destiny. Even though Xuanhuan in the previous life could control most of their rebirths, there are still some things that are beyond their control. These things may be controlled by the so-called heaven. She doesn't know whether she is really unable to resist now, so there is no need to take it to heart and embarrass herself. The law of heaven will never be on the side of the wicked. She hopes that there really is a way of heaven, so at least the way of heaven should be on their side. Although it is difficult to eliminate the devil, there is always hope. Xuanhuan nodded and said, after the child is born, let's keep it in the same space that Luoluo had before. In the current environment, it is impossible to raise children outside, so it is more secure to keep them in a space. Yan Xianxia said, there is no need to put them all in the Pangu space first. If there is anything wrong, I will immediately move them to my personal space. When the time comes, she will also put all her spiritual pets in her portable space. If there is any movement in Pangu space, there will be no sudden problems. After all, she is given time to prepare. She doesn't need much time, as long as a split second will do. Hence, she was not worried about not having time to take care of the children. Yan Xianxia knew that he was worried and had no confidence. Since doing so would make him feel at ease, he would refine some. Looking at Xuanhuan, whose eyes fell gently on her belly, Yan Xianxia felt that she had better shut up and let him look forward to it for more than a month. After a while, Yan Xianxia got up and went to the kitchen, threw out a bunch of flames and started cooking. After the two of them had eaten, Xuanhuan washed the dishes and chopsticks. Is our daughter good or not? Xuanhuan asked, touching his belly. Luoluo, let's refine some emergency god-level elixirs. Xuanhuan thought about it, and still felt that he should prepare while he was ready. In about an hour, Yan Xianxia refined a lot of first-aid elixirs, all of which were available in various types. She only kept 2 of each type for herself, and the rest were placed with Xuanhuan. She began to refine the elixirs, which were all god-level, and the medicinal materials used were elixirs that were tens of thousands of years old. The effects of the god-level elixirs can be imagined. Seeing that he finally relaxed a little, Yang Xiang also breathed a sigh of relief. This is a question Xuanhuan asks every day. The corner of Yan Xiangliu's mouth twitched. How are you sure it's your daughter? Yan Xiangliu glanced at her belly. She wondered if the children in her belly knew what their father was thinking, and whether they would be sad to know that their father had rejected them before they were born. With a thought, Yan Xiangliu pulled out the needed medicinal materials from the medicine field. The stone nest flew out, and the flames of the fire beads fell under the stone nest. Xuanhuan immediately said, it must be a daughter. What a wonderful daughter! She is soft and waxy, well-behaved, and clever. It would be even better if she looks like Luoluo. Days passed day by day. Xuanhuan occasionally went out to practice, but Yan Xiangliu always stayed in Pangu space and never went out again. Xuanhuan originally didn't want to go out, but he was kicked out by Yan Xiangliu. The main reason was that he was too nervous every day, so he was asked to go out to practice, and also to vent and relax. However, Xuanhuan did not go out again when she was about to give birth, and no matter what Yan Xiangliu said, he would not leave even one step. Yan Xiangliu saw that his mood was slightly more stable than before, and that she was indeed going to give birth in the next few days, so she stopped letting him go out. There is nothing now, the important thing is to give birth to the child safely. This day was still 7 or 8 days away from the due date. Xianxia was eating the spiritual fruit leisurely when she suddenly stopped. Xuanhuan was very sensitive and immediately asked, "What's wrong?" Xianxia put down the spiritual fruit she had eaten twice and said, "Xuanhuan, carry me in, the children are coming out." Xuanhuan became extremely nervous upon hearing this. He stood up in a panic. He didn't even notice that she was talking about children instead of children. He quickly picked her up and ran to the house. There was a delivery bed in the room that Xianxia had asked Xuanhuan to prepare. Xuanhuan put her on the bed and said at a loss, "What can I do?" Xianxia's stomach began to throb, and she said to Xuanhuan, "Go and boil some hot water and wash the children later." Xuanhuan walked out obediently, stopped suddenly when he reached the door, and returned to her side, "I can't leave you." His tone and expression seemed to be that he had encountered something important. He probably wouldn't be so nervous when facing the demon lord. Xianxialuo said, "I'm just feeling it now, and it's still early before I can survive. You take advantage of this time to boil the water and save yourself a moment of fuss." Xuanhuan frowned, seeing that she did not have any pain on her expression. "Okay, I'll be back soon." It just boils water, it has a flame, very quickly. As soon as Xuanhuan left, cold sweat ran down Xianxialuo's face. Although her cultivation was strong, she still had to go through the process of giving birth to a child. However, precisely because of her cultivation strength, it is easier than ordinary women to give birth to children. However, she does not dare to slack off. After all, she is not a child. She has raised the child well in 10 months of pregnancy. She cannot let the children go through the final hurdle. Receive any harm. She immediately mobilized the power of the wood element and pumped it into her stomach in waves regularly. And every trace of the wood power she input was absorbed by the children in her belly. Xianxialuo used her spiritual consciousness to communicate with the children, "My dears, don't resist. Mother will take you out." The children in her belly seemed to really understand her words, and they became well behaved instantly. Xuanhuan boiled a large pot of hot water as quickly as possible, then put the water into 2 bamboo buckets and carried it into the bedroom. But as soon as he stepped through the bedroom door, he was stunned because he heard several loud cries as soon as he entered. Immediately I saw Luoluo sitting on the delivery bed with wet hair, comforting the crying children. Although Xianxialuo's cultivation strength is here, it is still childbirth, which consumes a lot of her spiritual energy. When the children came out, they were still not used to it. They all cried loudly, each one with a louder voice. Xianxialuo saw Xuanhuan with 1 foot in the door and 1 foot outside the door, motionless as if frozen there, and shouted to him in a low voice, "What are you doing standing there? Wash the children quickly, don't do it touching the umbilical cord." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1026. Chapter 1026. Where is my daughter? There was obvious fatigue in Xianxialuo's voice. Ordinary mothers take a long time to give birth, which naturally consumes a lot of energy and physical strength. She only spent half a quarter of an hour. No matter how strong her cultivation level is, it does not mean that her body is not weak. On the contrary, she consumes a lot of mental and spiritual energy. After all, she wants the child to be born safely, not just to make the birth process fast. Xianxialuo's words suddenly woke up Xuanhuan. He quickly carried the bamboo bucket to the bed and said incoherently, "So fast." Although he has never experienced a woman giving birth, he also knows that when a woman gives birth to a child, she has to go through once, and the torment will take a long time. How come he just went out to boil some water and gave birth to the child in the blink of an eye? He had an unreal feeling. Xianxia rolled her eyes at him. Do you think my reputation as a miracle doctor is in vain? Besides, what is my level of cultivation? She was pregnant with 3 babies. If the normal delivery did not kill her, she just used her life force to give birth to the 3 babies quickly. During the period, she used mental power to control and spiritual power to assist. Besides, she is a heavenly master. How could she not choose a good time to be born? The child's umbilical cord has been taken care of by Xianxia. Xuanhuan only needs to clean the child and wrap it up. You can imagine how complicated Xuanhuan's mood is at this time, but he is a little in a hurry right now. The child is so young that he doesn't know where to start. There is no other choice when she has no choice. Since she can choose the time and date of her child's birth, she naturally wants to give her child a perfect birth date. Xuanhuan said distressedly, "Look at the sweat on your head. Take a rest quickly. I'll take care of the child." The tired Xianxia was speechless and raised her eyelids. "Our daughter hasn't found us yet." Xuanhuan first carried Xianxia to their bed inside, covered her with a quilt and let her rest, and then went to see the children. It is almost impossible for normal monks to have children at their level of cultivation. They have never thought about having a child. Even so, his hands were trembling. He always thought that his wife had 1 child in her belly. How could she give birth to 3 children? But the fact is that things that would be as difficult as ascending to heaven with other monks are accomplished unexpectedly here, not only 3 at a time. He suddenly woke up, opened his bag and looked under the quilt in disbelief, and then said with a horrified look on his face, "Luoluo, where is our daughter?" Xuanhuan, who was still a little out of shape at this time, wanted to get so much from him. Xianxia didn't want Xuanhuan to see her in a mess, mainly because she didn't want him to worry. Therefore, she had used her spiritual power to clean herself up. She threw the dirty clothes on the ground and wore clean clothes. Clothes. She had known for a long time that the child would be born on this day. After all, the child is in her belly, and her spiritual power, mental energy, and vitality are very strong. It is not difficult to make the child grow up as soon as possible. Finally, he cleaned and wrapped all 3 children. The children were comfortable and stopped crying, and he breathed a sigh of relief. She was also very helpless. She was born with 3 babies, but none of them was the daughter Xuanhuan expected. Yes, the 3 babies were all boys. Xuanhuan was severely shocked. The daughter he had been waiting for so long hadn't come yet? How is it possible? None of the 3 is a daughter? Xuanhuan confirmed again and wrapped up the quilt again in despair, and then put the child into the cradle he made. Only then did Xianxia realize that this cradle could be either big or small. It was quite spacious for 3 babies to lie in one cradle. It was indeed a magical artifact. Xuanhuan pushed the cradle to the bedside with a disappointed heart, letting Xianxia rest at ease. He then went to clean up the delivery bed and the dirty clothes that Xianxia had taken off. Seeing the blood on the delivery bed and the blood on the clothes on the floor, Xuanhuan's hands were still a little unruly. When had Luoluo ever suffered such a big crime? She had never shed so much blood even when she was injured. If you don't have a daughter, then you don't have one. We can't let Luoluo suffer anymore. Compared with Luoluo, a daughter is not that important. Xuanhuan knows what he wants most. My mood gradually calmed down. After cleaning up, the smell in the house also dissipated. Xuanhuan sat by the bed and looked at his wife, who was sleeping soundly, and then at his 3 sons, who were sleeping soundly. It was as if he was in a dream. When Luoluo was pregnant before, every time she came into the Pangu space, the spiritual energy would automatically flow towards her. However, Hong found that after the birth of the child, the speed and amount of the spiritual energy in the Pangu space flowing into the room were much stronger, especially it's the Pangu aura that seems to be getting stronger. It has reached a level that he cannot ignore. After all, such rich and powerful spiritual energy and Pangu aura were surging around him, it was impossible to ignore them. I saw that not only my daughter-in-law was absorbing spiritual energy, but my 3 sons were also absorbing spiritual energy. Although I knew that Luoluo had consumed too much spiritual energy and absorbed spiritual energy to regain strength, I still wondered why the Pangu aura in this Pangu space suddenly became stronger. After sensing it carefully, I found that the 3 sons absorbed Pangu's aura faster than their mother. Hong finally calmed down. His sons were going against the will of heaven. They began to absorb spiritual energy and practice since they were born. They still had spiritual energy with a strong Pangu aura. Now it is still so crazy to absorb the ancient atmosphere of Pan, it is impossible to want ordinary. It is not surprising to think that they began to absorb Pangu's spiritual energy from the moment they were reborn in their mother's womb. I have to admit that my sons are really good at reincarnation. With his and Luoluo's heaven-defying talents, coupled with the heaven-defying training environment, Hong was looking forward to how unparalleled the practice of these 3 boys would be in the future. The 5 Yuntuan, Wushuang, Wuji, and Zhetian were all anxious outside. They had all heard the cries of their little masters, so why weren't they allowed in to take a look? Luoluo slept all day and all night, but the 3 children did not sleep for that long. During this time, they had diarrhea, pee, and were hungry. Hong was in a hurry. Although Luoluo had told him what to do before, he was still at a loss as there were 3 children. 5 of the clouds turned into human forms, especially Suzaku, who turned into a woman, which was a great help. The reason why he didn't disturb Luoluo was because Hong used the mysterious pattern on the bed where Luoluo slept to isolate the sound, so that Luoluo couldn't hear the child's crying. It does not affect her ability to rest and recover. However, Hong found that the 3 children were actually easy to take care of. As long as they didn't pee, poop, weren't hungry, and were well behaved, they would just sleep soundly. While sleeping, I am absorbing spiritual energy. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1027. Chapter 1027 Who is the boss? Hong also discovered that none of his 3 sons wanted to eat because they were hungry. After all, they absorbed so much spiritual power that they could live well without eating. Eating is mainly a matter of habit. Because he discovered that the time when children are hungry falls during the eating time during pregnancy. They are used to eating at this time. The 3 children ate the juice of the spiritual fruit that Luoluo had prepared before. It was refined by her. It was not just a spiritual fruit, it was very nutritious. Therefore, when Luoluo woke up, Hong also understood the pattern of the children's crying and knew how often to feed them. With the help of Yuntuan and the other 5, there will be no chaos. After Luoluo woke up, most of her cultivation had recovered, and her physical fatigue and weakness were gone. Is it still uncomfortable there? Hong asked softly when he saw that she was awake. Luoluo shook her head. No, more than half of her spiritual power has been recovered. In one day, nothing will happen. Hong quickly held her down as she was about to get up. Then you should also take a good rest. Everyone has to stay in bed for a month to recuperate, and Luoluo is no exception. So he changed the subject and said, do you know who is the boss, who is the 2nd child, and who is the 3rd child? Immediately, he took out one of the recovery pills that Luoluo had refined before and fed it to her. Luoluo was speechless. She didn't know her own body yet, but when she saw Hong's worried eyes, she didn't say anything. He would just get used to it in a few days. Luoluo said in surprise, how did you know? Hong said, The one with the red bracelet on his wrist is the boss, the purple one is the second child, and the gold bracelet is the third child. She knows the effect of the elixir she refined very well. One elixir can indeed help her recover quickly. If eating it can make Zhizhikong feel at ease, then just eat it, it won't do her any harm anyway. There is no way, he is not a spiritual chef, and he knows that Luoluo likes delicious food. In the Black Spring, there is no place to buy spiritual food. He can only let Luoluo cook some when he is comfortable. He uses Xuanhuan to preserve it. How does it look like when he makes it? That's what it looks like when you eat it now. Zhizhikong felt extremely guilty. Luoluo had been so hard from pregnancy to delivery, and she had to prepare almost everything by herself. After all, it was their first time to experience such a thing. They could give birth to a child so smoothly without any elders or experienced people around. Yanxiangluo knew that although she had the blessing of her medical skills and cultivation strength, it was also their luck. Good. Zhizhong took out the confinement meal he had asked Luoluo to prepare before, heated it with spiritual power and fed it to her. Yanxiangluo didn't say anything and just took the elixir obediently. If this was outside, she would never have to worry about it. Although Yanxiangluo's delivery was short and smooth, Zhizhikong thought it was a dream, but he noticed her weak appearance yesterday and insisted on giving Luoluo a confinement period. You must know that the two of them usually do not rely on elixirs. It can be seen that Zhizhong was very worried when he asked her to take an elixir when Yanxiangluo was well. Although she asked Zhizhikong to refine these 3 bracelets, she did not say they were for children, nor did she tell him which color they should wear for the elderly. After all, he always thought that there was a child in her belly. How could he? Is your guess so accurate? The order of colors Luoluo asked me to tell in the refining room was the ranking of the 3 brothers. Zhizhong glanced at his 3 sons who were sleeping soundly. Thinking that Luoluo had not told him that he was pregnant with 3 children, he felt even more guilty. He must have been too restless and too nervous to let Luoluo hide that he was pregnant with 3 children. Thinking about it now, although I have never experienced it, I have seen other pregnant women. The belly of a pregnant woman who is pregnant with a child is not as big as Luoluo. It turns out that caring leads to chaos. After Yanxiangluo had eaten, the children woke up, and she immediately said coquettishly, "Zhikong, I haven't hugged the children yet." She told the truth. Although she delivered the children herself, he only took care of the umbilical cords of the children. Zhizhong came back without holding the children. Zhizhong wanted to refuse, but when he saw her expectant eyes, he pushed the cradle over, picked up the eldest child and put it in her arms. "Just give him a hug. There will be plenty of time to hold him when he recovers." Yanxiangluo also knew that she couldn't ask for too much now, so Zhizhong nodded like a frightened bird. "I'll give it a hug." Yanxiangluo knew that she couldn't feed her child like a normal mother. After all, her time was limited. She had to continue to practice and improve her cultivation after she recovered, so she felt a little guilty in her heart. This is also the reason why she refined so much spiritual juice in advance. Although the spirit juice contains a lot of nutrients and aura, which is better than breast milk, Yanxiangluo feels that she has treated her child badly. After becoming a mother, she truly realized how she felt when her parents had to leave, and when she saw her again, no matter how much she did for her, she could not make up for the guilt in her heart. When Yuntuan and the others came in at the right time, they saw Yanxiangluo holding the child and Zhizhong feeding them spiritual juice. Much better than when they were fed. They know that the child is so well behaved because he senses the mother's breath and feels at ease. Even Zhizhong was puzzled. It was not surprising for Yanxiangluo to see 5 transformed creatures. After all, he had seen them transformed in his previous life. Their appearance in this life has not changed. Precisely because of their existence, Yanxiangluo did not worry at all that taking care of the children would affect her experience and improvement. Although Yan Xiangluo's body had fully recovered on the second day, she rested for another 10 days at Jizhong's request. Until Jizhong was sure that her body had indeed recovered to what it was before giving birth, the two of them left the child to Yuntuan and the others to take care of them, and they went out to continue their training. After starting the experience this time, their difficulty became stronger. After all, the deeper they went into the Black Spring, the greater the danger. At first, they would go in to see the children every 2 days, but later they would only have time to visit them every 10 days. Just like that, a year has passed, and the 3 children are already running all over the ground. With their skillful energy, it is obvious that they did not learn to walk just now. Yes, at 8 months, 3 children will be gone. Yuntuan and the other 5 looked a little confused. The main reason was that the 3 children were too naughty. They were only 1 year old, but they were extremely smart and had a good understanding of each other. They knew each other's intentions just by looking at each other. It was calculated by the 3 of them. Hence, what the 2 of them saw every time they entered the space was a lively scene. When the 3 children saw the 2 people coming in, they all rushed towards Yan Xiangluo. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1028. Chapter 1028. The Smart Kid. Jizhong was speechless. Why did his 3 sons not seem to see him as their father every time he came back? Yan Xiangluo knelt down happily, stretched out her hands and hugged her 3 sons into her arms, kissed each of them on the forehead, and then said, "You are naughty again." "No, we are very good," the 3 children said in unison. The flickering eyes would be more believable if they didn't flicker. The 3 babies not only walked early, but also talked early. They were only 1 year old and could already speak very clearly. Although the 3 babies are triplets, they don't look alike and each has its own characteristics. The boss's facial features resemble Jizhong's, especially his phoenix eyes, which are exactly the same as Jizhong's. Although the second child's eyes are like Jizhong's, his other facial features are like Yu Xiangluo's, so he has a completely different temperament from his eldest brother. The third child's face looks like a copy of Wan Xiangluo's, and looks more like their uncle Wan Anluo. Therefore, Jizhong prefers the third child who looks like Luoluo. Looking at the smaller version of Luoluo, although he is the male version of Xiaoluoluo, the child is now smaller, longer and tender, and looks more like a girl. Jizhong is the third child, has a feeling of realizing his daughter's dream. Yan Xiangluo also saw that he liked the third child more, and reminded him not to be partial, as it would hurt the boss and the second child. Although you have many children, you will always have your favorites, but you can't go too far. Today, 3 children flew apart in space to find their parents. This made the 5 people in the Crying Cloud group unable to use force and could only chase them. If there weren't so many of them, they wouldn't be able to catch them. Therefore, after Yan Xiangluo got close to her sons, Jizhong reached out and picked up the 3 sons together, spun them around a few times, made the 3 babies laugh, and then put them down. "What's wrong?" Yan Xiangluo looked at the 5 people and asked. "Haven't you seen the children's happy expressions when they came back? This is the child's happiness. Both parents love them very much." Yuntuan hesitated for a moment, but decided to tell the truth. "Master, the 3 young masters are looking for the masters everywhere today, saying that they want to practice with you." Yan Xiangluo glanced at Yuntuan and the other 5 who were breathing a sigh of relief, and raised her eyebrows. Something was wrong today. What kind of strength did Yuntuan and the others have? How could the 3 children have such expressions? They have no idea that their parents are no longer in the dimension, nor do they know that the place they are in is their mother's portable dimension. They think that they are in the same dimension, but they are just farther away. It seems that the 3 children are not generally naughty, otherwise Yuntuan and the others would not show such relieved expressions. Jizhong is very obedient. How could he let his son go through the experiences he had in his previous life? Besides, they are all his own sons, so he naturally likes them. So they thought they could find their parents by flying far away. This is something that she and Xuanhuan have longed for in their past and present lives. Xuanhuan was not bragging at all when he said he was looking for masters everywhere. The three little masters started practicing in their mother's womb and were able to fly in the air after they were born. The two of them had a close relationship with their parents in their previous lives. In this life, although Xianxia was loved by her parents, reality also separated them. Therefore, she wanted their children to grow up happily under the love of their parents. This also has the help of Jishan, Xuanhuan, and Wuji. It's not like this today. It's been a few days, and their mental state can no longer bear it. Xianxia was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect it to be like this. To be honest, the three children were too young, and she never thought that they would have such a thoughtful mind. But since they have such thoughts, they will not stop until they achieve their goal. As a mother, she naturally knows this very well. The intelligence of the three children was formed during the fetal period. Their current IQ is equivalent to that of a 6 or 7-year-old child. They are very smart. Don't treat them like 1-year-old children. After Xianxia and Xuanhuan looked at each other, Xuanhuan said, "Do you want to go out to practice with your parents?" The three cute babies raised little heads immediately nodded in unison, "I want to go." Xuanhuan did not dampen their enthusiasm, nor did he say anything. They were too young to go out for training. Xuanhuan squatted down, trying not to let his sons raise their necks to look at him. They were not tired, but he was tired for them just by looking at him. Xuanhuan explained patiently, "The place you are staying in now is your mother's personal space. This is the world that belongs to your mother. You can follow her wherever she goes. The place where your father and your mother went out to practice. The environment outside is very bad. I can take you out to have a look." Xuanhuan knew very well how smart his sons were. Even though they were only 1 year old, they had little brains and couldn't be fooled. Instead of persuading them, it is better to take them out and let them experience it for themselves. Xianxia was actually opposed to it. After all, she knew very well what was going on outside. They were already very close to the worst place in Black Spring, the place where they obtained the sacred object in their previous life. Although the children have been practicing since they were still in their mother's womb, no matter how powerful and evil they are still little babies just 1 year old. She is worried that she will not be able to protect them well when she goes out. Xuanhuan naturally knew her worries and gave her a wink to reassure her. Xianxia pursed her lower lip and swallowed back her objections. Xuanhuan was their biological father, so he would naturally put their safety first. Xuanhuan put the eldest child into Xianxia's arms, and he picked up the second and third children one by one. Then he said to Xianxia, "Just go out and leave it to me later." Xianxia nodded and held her eldest son tightly in her arms. The three cute kids were extremely excited. They only knew they were going out with their parents and had no idea what they were about to face. The couple left Pangu space with their children in their arms. As soon as they exited, a strong coercion hit them. The three children immediately nestled tightly into their arms and became motionless. The dark space outside looked scary, and the terrifying pressure that made them breathless made them all confused. "What is this place?" Xuanhuan said, "The oppressive power you feel now is 9/10 of it blocked by my father with the isolation mysterious pattern. It is as powerful as 10 of your fingers. Now it is only as big as 1 finger. You still have to come out and experience it with your father and mother." The three sons were speechless, but their three little hands waved vigorously to indicate that they would not come out. Xuanhuan then took them back to the space. The feeling of oppression immediately disappeared as soon as they returned. The three cute babies were still in their arms for a long time without coming back to their senses. When they came back to their senses, they hugged their parents tightly and did not let go. They were worried. In such an environment, parents would stay for so long every time they went out. What if something happened? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1029. Chapter 1029, Another Way to Teach Children. Jija Kong sat down with her child in her arms, and Yan Xianglou also sat down next to her husband with her eldest child in her arms. Jija Hong patted his sons on the back. The outside world is not exactly like this. The place where normal people live is still very good. Parents shoulder the heavy responsibility of exterminating demons, and they must use this cruel method to become stronger as quickly as possible. Only in this way can we protect the continental space where we live and allow you to grow up freely, healthily, and happily. The three children are still too young, and they cannot accept too many truths. Jija Hong smiled and said, "When your parents' cultivation reaches the highest level in this continent, I can take you out of here and take you to see your grandfather and grandmother. And my uncle." The three children understood after hearing these words. If they stayed here and waited for their parents, they would be able to leave the scary place outside early and see the grandfather, grandmother, and uncle their parents mentioned. Then the three cute kids said in unison, "We will be good." Jija Hong rubbed the soft hair of his sons and said, "This space belongs to you, mother. You can play as much as you like without restraint. As long as you don't leave here, you can play whatever you want." He just wanted his sons to know that not everything is safe, so that they would have a sense of self-protection from an early age, and he did not want to restrict his sons' childish nature. He wanted his sons to have everything he didn't have when he was a child. The eldest son lay in his mother's arms and asked dully, "Dad, what do we want to do to our parents?" Not to mention the soft attachment to her son, not even Jija Hong could resist it. Jija Hong narrowed his eyes and said to the children, "Ask your mother to open the space permissions to you, so that you can use it at any time. I can see my parents, but they are worried about scaring you." The three cute kids immediately cheered up, "We won't be scared." Jija Hong didn't say anything. He asked them to tell them if he was scared enough to see them. He didn't want his sons to grow up in a warm nest. Since they were so thoughtful, let them know from now on that their parents would know every day. "What are you going through?" Yan Xianglou wanted to object, but thinking about the way her father taught her when she was a child, she didn't say anything. Strong flowers cannot be raised in a greenhouse, and their sons are destined to be anything but ordinary, so it is much better to let them know the cruelty of the world from now on than to let them know it again when they go out and suffer setbacks. Seeing her sons become energetic again, Yan Xianglou felt that she was at a disadvantage when it came to teaching her sons. Yan Xianglou handed over her sons to Jija Hong, and she went to the kitchen to cook delicious food for the children. "My child is different from a normal 1-year-old child and can eat a lot of complementary foods. Therefore, every time she comes back, she will cook some delicious food for the children." Yan Xianglou feels a sense of accomplishment every time she sees the children happily eating. Besides, the delicacies made by her are easy to digest and have no impurities. No matter how much the children eat, it will not be harmful. The family of 4 sits at the table and enjoys the reunion dinner warmly. This is a scene that happens every time they come back, and it is also the children's favorite time. After eating, I played with the children for a while. It was getting dark, and it was the same in the space. The 3 children had to sleep normally every day. They would also take a nap during the day. When they were away, Yuntuan and the others would arrange the nap time. Because Yan Xianglou had said it in front of the children in advance, the 3 children were very cooperative and took a nap. There was nothing naughty about it. "Because my mother said, sleep well and eat well so that you can grow up quickly." Looking at the children sleeping sweetly, Yan Xianglou nestled in Jija Kong's arms, enjoying the rare happiness and tranquility. The storm outside and the peace and tranquility inside formed a huge contrast. If the two of them hadn't had strong spiritual consciousness, they would have become mentally ill. However, the two of them didn't stay long. They stayed with the child for a while and then left the space to continue their experience. The permissions of the space, Yan Xianglou, are open to all their spiritual pets. One is to facilitate their entry and exit, and the other is to allow them to leave Pangu space as quickly as possible when they want to leave her. Hence, when Yan Xianglou and Jizhong left, Yun Tuan and the others knew about it, because as soon as they left, it was no longer quiet outside. Looking at the masters outside who were working hard to practice, Yun Tuan and the others sighed. All they can do now is take good care of the young masters and let the two masters practice without any distractions. Yan Xianglou and Jizhong's current cultivation levels have reached the 8th level of the Great Sage. It took them 1 year to advance to the 3rd level. It can be seen that the higher the level of the Great Sage's cultivation level, the harder it is to improve. But they don't know yet that the cultivation level of their Great Sages is different from that of the Great Sages of the same level outside. The big gap is, of course, between the people outside and them. Yan Xianglou looked at the solid black shadows. The further they walked in, the more such souls they encountered. They are all black and can drip as black as ink. This shows how seriously these soul bodies have been blackened and how long they have existed. This is also the main reason why they were lost here in their previous life. These black soul bodies are very powerful. Even if Yan Xianglou has a strong celestial master strength, he cannot face so many black soul bodies. Looking at the black souls coming in the distance, Yan Xianglou and Jizhong began to practice in preparation. These soul bodies cannot be killed, but their power can be consumed. This is also how they improve their cultivation. It's just that every battle is a battle with the god of death. These black souls will not show mercy to them. Once they encounter them, they will fight to the death. In a moment, the two of them were already in a state of embarrassment. In the Pangu space, the 3 cute babies woke up. When they saw that their parents were not around, they knew that they had gone out to practice again. A little frustrated, suddenly the eyes of the 3 cute children lit up, and they could see their parents. What do you think? When they think this way, it's as if their eyes can see through and they can see the scene outside. But when they saw the scene outside, they were so shocked that they stopped making any move. Did your parents experience this? Horrible. What are those things and why are they so scary? Scarier than what their parents saw yesterday when they took them out? Yun Tuan and the others sensed that the 3 little masters had woken up, so they came in, and then saw their dazed looks. White Tiger was about to step forward, but Suzaku stopped him and motioned for them to wait for a while. The 3 young masters are watching their father and mother fight. Let them watch. Only when they understand the cruelty outside will they know how difficult it is for their father and mother. Let them know that it is not easy to improve their cultivation. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 1030. Chapter 1030, Call Your Name. Because of the unique opportunities, the 3 young masters were reborn well, their parents were powerful, and they had the only resources for cultivation in the world. Therefore, they did not encounter any difficulties on the road of cultivation. Even ordinary children don't have the process of awakening their spiritual roots. They have already awakened their spiritual roots in their mother's wombs. Therefore, they usually regard cultivation as a game, just like playing. I never thought about how difficult cultivation is. Now let them see through the experience of their parents who they admire, what kind of price they have to pay to gain strong cultivation strength, and let them face the matter of cultivation correctly. How could Jizhong not know about his son's problems? This is why he took them out to experience it for himself, and why he easily let his son see them outside. His decision soon proved to be the right one. The three children watched like this for an hour. They didn't see their parents taking a break. Instead, they became more and more embarrassed. At this time, they finally realized that it turned out that their parents had been practicing like this before they came back. Cultivation was not what they imagined, just absorbing spiritual energy and converting it into spiritual power. Instead, they needed to fight those terrifying things. The triplets' tacit understanding made them all look at their little hands, and then at the terrifying things outside. They thought that their parents were so powerful, but they were so embarrassed, and they didn't even have a chance to fight with Ben. Think again about the strong pressure they felt when they went out yesterday. It was the first time they felt threatened since they were born. In an instant, the three children seemed to have grown up suddenly. They immediately got up to practice, and then asked to fight against Xuanhuan and the others. They must learn to fight first, and then when their cultivation becomes stronger, they can go out and fight those terrifying things like their parents. So, in the following days, the three children ate, slept, practiced, and fought on time, and their lives suddenly became regular. Three children who were naughty and ugly before suddenly became so well behaved, which Xuanhuan and the others couldn't accept. Seeing the three children working so hard, they felt a little sad. Such a young child actually knows that life is not easy. Ordinary children of this age may not know what cultivation is. And their little masters have already begun to practice fighting on their own. Although they were born well and have good parents, they also have to endure things that other children will not endure. Therefore, the five of them are not sloppy at all in fighting the little master. They will not fool them because of their low cultivation level. They will tell them their weaknesses and shortcomings every time they fight. Under their guidance and training, the three one-year-old babies were able to fight decently in a few days. Xianxia and Xuanhuan outside naturally knew what was happening in the space. While they were relieved, they also lamented that it was very hard to be their children. After all, from an early age you have to experience things that other children may never experience in their lifetime. In addition to the experience, the couple will personally instruct the children to practice and fight when they return. Time flies, and another year has passed in the blink of an eye. The cultivation of Xianxia and Xuanhuan reached the peak of the 9th level of the Great Sage as early as half a year ago. However, they are still hundreds of years away from the place where they obtained the sacred objects in their previous life. The land is far away, but there is no way to cross it. Both of them were wondering, what happened here in 10,000 years, how come these black soul bodies have become stronger? What is the reason? It has been 2.5 years since they returned to Xianxia continent. The demon lord seal is on the verge of being broken and cannot hold on for much longer. Although in the past 2.5 years, the power of Xianxia's faith has not diminished. On the contrary, as more and more people in Xuanhuan continent ascend to the 9th heaven, the people of Xuanhuan continent have more faith in Xianxia and Xuanhuan. The power is increasing. But even so, it can't be suppressed for long. Xianxia and Xuanhuan looked at each other and returned to Pangu space. They wanted to study what was going on and decide what to do next. They have reached the pinnacle of the mainland in terms of cultivation strength. It is impossible to break through here in terms of strength. After all, it is not that people with their cultivation level have come in 10,000 years ago. They still have entry but no exit, and return without return. They will not confidently think that they are stronger than those people. And they firmly believe that only by going in can they know the way to completely eliminate demons. At that time, their cultivation strength was only at the level of a great saint. They rushed in with a lonesome courage, and then got the holy object. They didn't stay inside for long. I don't know what's going on inside. Of the three cute babies, there is quite a few Zhongdalu. Although he is 2 years old, he looks like a 3 or 4-year-old child. Even though they are only 2 years old, their cultivation has already exceeded the king level. Normal monks can fly in the air only if they break through the king level, but the 3 children can fly in the air when they are 1 year old, otherwise they would not be so difficult to take care of. The reason has also been studied by Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhizhong. They always thought it should be related to the fact that they began to absorb Pangu's breath when they were fetuses. Furthermore, the 3 brothers are all spiritually gifted, just like their husband and wife, and because they have such a pair of parents, they have no obstacles in their cultivation, so they advance quickly. This is because they are young, otherwise they would advance faster. Dabao, Erbao, Sanbao, parents are back, Yuan Xiangluo shouted happily. 3 little adults rushed over and threw themselves into their mother's arms. While being intimate, they did not forget to correct her in unison. Mother, we have grown up and cannot be called like this anymore, we need to be called by a big name. After the 3 brothers turned 1 year old, the biggest change was that they were no longer allowed to be called Bao'er, but Yan Xiangluo still liked to call them Bao'er. In fact, after the birth of the 3 children, Ji Zhizhong had already chosen their names. The surname is Ji. There is a cloud character in the name, which means their mother's surname. The only difference is that the female character of the character is removed and only the sound is taken. The first treasure is called Ji Yongxiao, the second treasure is called Ji Yunhan, and the third treasure is named Ji Yongxi. The reason why the eldest son is named Xiao means that it is the inheritance of his Ji family. His name is Zhikong, so his son is Zhixiao. However, the son's name cannot contain his father's name, so he just chose the character Xiao. Yan Xiangluo smiled and responded, okay, Yongxiao, Yunhan, Yongxi. The 3 cute babies were very speechless because they knew very well that their mother had promised well and would still call them Dabao, 2 treasures and 3 treasures next time she came back. The third child, Yongxi, put his arms around his mother's neck and said, Mom, are you tired? This is what they would ask every time their parents came back after they knew how dangerous it was for them to go out for training. Of course, they also learned to see if their parents were injured.